My best friend met my boyfriend for the first time, screamed at him while I was in the bathroom. Now she's telling everyone he's a threat, but he was just trying to propose. My boyfriend, let's call him Blake, is 25, same age as me, and we've been together for 3 years now. Before we ever got romantic, we were just co-workers at a retail job we both worked at when we were 17. Back then, the first thing I noticed about him was how unreadable he was. He never smiled, never showed much emotion at all. Blake always had this calm, serious look that never wavered, like his face was set in stone. I can't quite explain it, but picture Eminem's usual expression or that character Shadow from Sonic, just very stoic, no nonsense. That's Blake. Even when someone cracked a joke, whether it was a coworker or a customer, he wouldn't laugh or even smirk, which definitely made things awkward for people trying to lighten the mood. Still, he was always respectful, never once raised his voice, and kept his cool no matter what. He might have seemed cold, but never rude. Most of the people we worked with thought he was strange and even warned me to steer clear of him. But despite all that, we clicked. We got along surprisingly well and ended up becoming good friends. His lack of visible emotion didn't really bother me. I actually thought he was kind at heart. And to his credit, he tolerated my loud, outgoing personality like a champ. Over time, we grew really close, and eventually, he did start opening up a bit more. Every now and then, he'd let out a chuckle or crack a smile, and I'd always tease him playfully whenever I caught it. Then, on my 22nd birthday, which also happens to be Valentine's Day, he invited me over to his place, saying he had something serious to talk about. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, the house was decorated with flowers and streamers, and Blake was dressed up all nice. He gave this heartfelt speech about how much our friendship had meant to him, how grateful he was to have met me, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend. I swear, it felt like I was suddenly dropped into the middle of an old-school romantic movie from the 70s. Even though he still wore that trademark stoic expression, I could tell he was nervous. That vulnerability was new for him and honestly, kind of sweet. Of course, I said yes, and we've been happy together ever since. Now, here's where things started to get complicated. My best friend, we'll call her Sarah, is 26, and she and I have been tight since 5th grade. We were practically inseparable growing up, total partners in crime. Before I ever started dating Blake, Sarah and I were super close. But she never got the chance to meet him early on. Back when Blake and I were still just talking, Sarah had already moved to a different city to live with her dad, so she only knew about him through what I told her or pictures I showed once we became official. At some point, she made a comment about how Blake always looked so serious in our photos, like he was never actually happy to be with me. She said it was strange that he didn't seem joyful or expressive and that I probably shouldn't be with someone who acts like that around me. I kind of brushed it off. I figured she was just being protective like always. Looking back, maybe I should have paid a little more attention to what she was saying, but at the time I just chalked it up to her not knowing him the way I did. Fast forward to recently, Sarah moved back to our city and wanted to finally meet Blake. So we planned to all go out to a restaurant, one she and I used to hang out at in high school. When we arrived, Sarah and I ran up to each other and did that excited squeal thing, hugging and laughing like no time had passed. Meanwhile, Blake just stood back and watched, quiet as always. The moment Sarah laid eyes on him, I noticed her whole expression change. She offered a quick, awkward smile, shook his hand, and muttered a polite hi. Blake responded casually, said it was nice to meet her, and that was that. But after that moment, it was like she totally shut him out. Once we were seated, Blake scanned the menu but didn't find anything he really wanted. He just said he'd be okay with a small appetizer. Out of nowhere, Sarah made a comment, something like, "Why is nothing good enough for you? Why come here if you weren't going to eat?" Then she tried to play it off like she was joking, but anyone could tell she meant it. I quickly defended Blake, told her it wasn't a big deal and he could eat whatever he felt like. She let it go, but the energy had shifted. All through dinner, she barely acknowledged Blake and only talked to me. He didn't seem fazed. He's not much of a talker in social settings anyway, but it still bugged me. And when she did speak to him, she only asked surface-level questions, the kind that didn't need more than a word or two in response. Every time he answered, she gave him this weird side eye or just said okay in this dismissive tone. It was obvious to me by then, Sarah didn't like Blake. She wasn't being openly rude, but her little jabs and dismissive behavior made it clear. At one point she left to use the bathroom, and while she was gone, I leaned over to ask Blake if he was alright. He smiled a little and said he was fine, that he just wanted me to enjoy catching up with my friend. I felt guilty, but I appreciated his patience. After dinner, the three of us went for a walk around the area to check out some local shops. Sarah seemed to be in a better mood again, and I was hoping the worst was over. We ended up passing someone walking a small puppy, and both Sarah and I melted. We started squealing and giggling at how adorable it was, completely in our element. Blake just stood there watching us with his usual neutral face. As soon as the puppy's owner walked away, Sarah suddenly turned on Blake. Her face twisted in frustration, and she snapped, "How can you not even smile at a puppy? Are you really that soulless?" I was stunned. Her whole tone flipped, and I didn't even get a chance to respond before Blake simply shrugged and kept walking. I caught up with her and asked what the hell that was about. She apologized right away, said she didn't mean to yell, but things felt really off after that. The mood was heavy, but I didn't want to ruin the night. Sarah had something else planned for the three of us after the walk, and she had already paid for it. So I figured I'd just get through it. At one point, I had to use the bathroom, so we stopped at a nearby store. I went inside, leaving Blake and Sarah outside waiting. When I came back out, I found Sarah shouting at Blake, completely hysterical. I rushed over, panicking, asking what was going on. Sarah was crying and yelling, "It's not going to happen. I won't let this happen." I asked her what she meant, but she just screamed that Blake was a sociopath and demanded I break up with him. Blake and I were both stunned, just standing there in shock. I kept trying to get a straight answer from either of them, but neither would say anything, which only made me more anxious. People were beginning to stare, and I was desperate to calm her down. Eventually, I told Blake to walk to the car, and I'd call Sarah an Uber. When we were alone, I tried to get Sarah to explain, but she clammed up completely. Blake came back to pick me up, and the whole time Sarah stared at him like she wanted to set him on fire, while he just kept his head down. I had no idea what had just happened. My mind was spinning, assuming they must have had some kind of argument while I was gone. Thankfully, the Uber came and took Sarah to her hotel. The car ride home with Blake was dead silent. As soon as we got inside, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I demanded to know what went down. Blake didn't say a word at first, which made me even more frustrated. Eventually, he told me he couldn't explain, but that he was deeply sorry for what happened. And that only made me more confused. I begged him to just tell me the truth, but he wouldn't budge. He told me very seriously that he swore he hadn't done anything wrong, but also said he just couldn't explain what exactly happened between him and Sarah. That vague answer didn't sit well with me. I told him I'd be sleeping in the guest room for the night because I couldn't handle all the confusion and emotion swirling around, especially without knowing what sparked such a blow-up between the two of them. He said he understood, told me he loved me, and went to bed in our room without protest. This all happened just a few hours ago. Right now, I'm lying in the guest room, feeling completely lost and more scared than I'd like to admit. I know Sarah and Blake didn't exactly click, but I never expected things to explode like this. The most frustrating part is that neither of them will tell me what actually went down. About an hour ago, Sarah texted me. Here's what she wrote word for word. "I'm really sorry about what happened tonight, but please listen to me. You need to break up with Blake. He is a literal sociopath who is only using you. He doesn't deserve you. I'm telling you this because I love you and want to protect you. Please break up with him." I haven't replied. Honestly, I don't even know how to respond. If I try asking her again for the full story, I already know she'll dodge the question or avoid giving a real answer. At this point, I don't know what to think. I have no idea if Sarah said something awful to Blake that triggered his silence, or if Blake might have said something to her that she took the wrong way. I'm stuck in this limbo, scared and confused, and just hoping someone will finally be honest with me. Is it possible that Sarah just hates him because he isn't the most expressive guy in the world? I don't know. But I really need some advice on how to get to the truth, or at least something close to it. Update 1. Hey everyone, I'm back with an update. First of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to respond to my post and offer advice. You truly helped me feel a little less alone through all this. The night I wrote everything out, I spent some time just sitting with my thoughts. I've come to realize that I should have handled things differently. I definitely shouldn't have let Sarah keep treating Blake so poorly without stepping in, and I let my own anxiety get the best of me when I couldn't get any answers. That silence from both of them just made everything worse. I decided not to read any more of Sarah's messages until I had a conversation with Blake. So I turned my phone off and spent the whole day doing little things to distract myself, watching videos, learning a few new things on my computer, and even going for a run to clear my head. When Blake got home, I asked him if we could sit down and talk. He agreed without hesitation. Following advice from a really kind Redditor, I started by apologizing. I told him I was sorry for walking away from him the night before, and also for not standing up for him more while Sarah was being rude. I made sure to let him know how much I love and trust him, and that whatever he had to tell me, I'd believe him. Eventually, Blake opened up and told me what really happened. Turns out, some of you nailed it, he was planning to propose to me. He said that after I went into the store, he decided to confide in Sarah. He explained how he was planning to propose soon and thought it'd be meaningful to get her input on the ring, since she's been a big part of my life and was going to be hanging out with us again soon. Sarah's response? She asked him if he was serious. And when he said yes, she completely lost it. She started yelling at him, telling him he didn't deserve me, and that she'd never let the proposal happen. That's when I walked out and saw her screaming. I was stunned. I couldn't believe that's what started all of this. I hugged Blake tightly and apologized all over again. I asked him if that was why he didn't want to tell me right away, and he admitted it was. He didn't want to spoil the surprise, but also didn't expect things to go so sideways. He said if he'd known it would cause all this, he would have just told me from the beginning. I told him the proposal surprise wasn't the problem, none of this was his fault, and that I loved him even more for trying to include someone important to me, even if it blew up in his face. Then he asked what Sarah had said in her messages. I admitted that I hadn't read them, that I was too nervous about what I might find. But eventually, I did turn my phone back on. And honestly, I wish I hadn't. Sarah meant it when she said she wouldn't let the proposal happen. She didn't just lash out at Blake, she went behind my back and involved several of our mutual friends, my sister, my aunt, and even my estranged father. Yes, the father I haven't spoken to in years because of some serious issues with my former stepmom. He and I aren't even on speaking terms. Sarah told them I was dating a sociopath, that she had tried to save me, and that I was refusing to listen. Now, people who once knew and loved Blake the way I do are acting like he's dangerous. They're practically begging me to break up with him. I spent that entire night trying to do damage control, reaching out to each person one by one to explain what really happened. I haven't contacted my dad, though. That line was too far. But sadly, my aunt and a couple of my friends still seem to be siding with Sarah. And it's tearing me apart. Sarah sent so many texts, it was overwhelming. Some of them were her begging me to answer, others were her yelling at me for siding with Blake, and a few were apologies, including one where she said she regretted involving my dad but thought it was necessary for my own good. Eventually, I sent her one final message. This is what I wrote. I don't understand how you expect me to take your side when you never even explained why you said what you said. Blake already told me everything that happened, and I can't even imagine what your version of events could be. I can't believe you lied to our friends and family. And seriously, how the hell do you even have my dad's number? Above all, you disrespected my relationship and my boyfriend. I'm done. I blocked her after that. She never gave me a straight answer, and honestly, I don't think she ever planned to. It feels like her only goal was to sabotage our relationship for reasons I still don't understand. It's not exactly the happy update I was hoping to share, but Blake and I are okay. He's been incredibly patient and supportive throughout all of this, and I'm beyond thankful for him. I don't think this is the end of it, though. I might need to update again soon. I don't know what to do next. How do I convince my aunt and friends that Blake is still the same good man they once knew? Do you think I should try to get Sarah to admit she was lying? I keep going back and forth. Either way, thank you again to everyone who's given advice. And to the one Redditor who claimed my story was fake and that I shouldn't be with someone like Blake, just know that real life can get just as wild and dramatic as fiction sometimes. It sucks, but it happens. Also, Blake is honestly one of the best things that's ever happened to me, and I can't imagine my life without him. So yeah, screw you. Anyway, I might be back again soon. Take care. Update 2. Hey Reddit. Sorry it took me a while, but I'm back with another update. Things have been intense. So here we go. After the last post, Blake and I had a heart-to-heart about everything going on with my family and friends. If you remember, Sarah had gone behind my back and told a bunch of people, my sister, my aunt, even my estranged dad, that Blake was abusive, manipulative, and that I was refusing to leave him. I invited my sister over to talk in person. I wanted to hear exactly what Sarah had told her. And man, the lies were outrageous. My sister told me Sarah claimed that during our hangout, Blake had been cold and dismissive to me, ignored me the whole time, and lashed out when I tried to talk to him. She said that when Sarah told me he was acting toxic, I supposedly snapped at her to mind her business. Then, after I went to the bathroom, Blake told her he was planning to marry me, and that's when she lost it. So, she told a few kernels of truth wrapped in a big fat lie. I followed up with a few friends, and sure enough, she told them the exact same story. At that point, both Blake and I were furious. Not only had she lied, but she completely ruined what was supposed to be a special, private proposal. Some people, including my sister and a few commenters, suggested I gather everyone she had lied to and clear the air in person. As much as I wanted to just shoot off a mass text, I agreed that face-to-face would be more impactful. So I created a group chat, left out my dad, of course, and told them all I needed to talk, seriously. We picked Monday night to meet. That Monday, we all sat down together, and I let them have it. I started by pointing out how fast they all believed Sarah's version of events over mine and how hurt and disappointed I was. Then I laid it all out. I told the full, real story of what happened, exactly how Sarah treated Blake that night, every dismissive comment, every snide remark. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I made it very clear, Blake is a kind, respectful, good man. The same guy they once liked and supported. And if they were going to believe someone who had met him one time over me, then I wasn't going to waste any more energy proving anything. I finished by saying that if anyone ever tried to tell me to break up with him again or called him names, they'd be cut off. Period. Luckily, it worked. They finally believed me. They apologized to Blake, and to me, for jumping to conclusions. Though, truthfully, I cared way more about them apologizing to him than to me. I thought that would be the end of it. Sarah was blocked, my dad was blocked, and Blake and I were doing great again. But, yeah, I spoke too soon. On Thursday, I was at work when I got a message from our front desk security telling me my girlfriend was here to see me. I knew instantly who it was. I didn't want to go down. I really didn't. But I was scared she'd cause a scene if I didn't, like she did with Blake. So I went to see her. She looked happy to see me. I was pissed. I told her, flat out, that she needed to leave, never come near me again, and especially not go anywhere near Blake. I warned her that if she didn't walk away, I'd call the cops. She started crying fake tears, I'm pretty sure, and said this was the only way she could talk to me. She told me that after I told everyone the truth, they all turned on her. Most of our mutual friends had apparently cut her off, and now she felt like she had nothing left. I told her she brought this on herself. She tried to destroy my relationship. She lied and manipulated people I care about. She tried to apologize. Said she didn't want to lose me. Said she wanted to explain. By then, she was starting to get loud, and people were turning to look at us. I was embarrassed and furious. I told her she had her chance to explain, many chances, but instead, she chose to lie and throw my relationship under the bus. She kept begging me to forgive her, saying she didn't mean for things to spiral like this. I told her one last time, leave, or I'll get security involved. Shockingly, she left. I was on edge for the rest of my shift, scared she'd come back or that my boss would pull me aside and ask what that whole scene was about. Then I started getting messages. From a random number. Stuff like you stupid b*********, and I hate you. Over and over. I blocked the number, but they just kept coming from new ones. My best guess? My dad. That's exactly how he talks. When I got home, Blake could tell something was wrong right away. I told him everything. For some reason, that was the moment I broke. I started crying. I'd been holding it together for so long, but I finally cracked. I was scared all this drama might drive Blake away. That maybe it was too much for him. But Blake, God, I love that man, just looked at me and said, that's never gonna happen. You're my girl. He told me that the night I stood up for him to my friends and family, he was smiling on the inside. That made me laugh through the tears. To the Redditor who messaged me saying I don't deserve Blake. You're right. I don't. I don't know what I did to deserve someone so patient, so loyal, and so steady. But I'm thankful every single day that he's mine. I've been getting more unknown texts and calls since then. I've started screenshotting everything before blocking the numbers. I'll probably need to file a police report soon. Some of my friends and my sister think I should meet up with Sarah again to get her to finally come clean and maybe, just maybe, explain why she did all this. Blake said it's up to me. Whatever I feel safest doing. After thinking it over, I've decided I'll meet her. I unblocked her and sent a message saying I'd be willing to talk, but only if we meet in a public place, and only if she promises to finally tell me the full truth. I sent that a few hours ago. So far, no response. And that's scaring me a little. I know you were probably hoping this update would end with answers. Me too. I'm holding onto a sliver of hope that she'll agree to meet so I can finally understand what the hell happened and why she tried so hard to destroy something good. Do you think it's a good idea to meet with her? I'd love to hear your theories on what Sarah might say. My sister already has a dozen wild ones, lol. Before I wrap up this long post, I just want to thank you all again. Your advice, support, and comments have meant more than I can say.